You cannot buy a shack in California today, especially in the LA area where I live, and San Francisco is more expensive, San Diego more expensive. You cannot even buy a shack today, right, for less than $1 million. So now my salary has stayed the same, but the home prices have gone up so much now, 10 times now my salary will buy me a decent house. Well, how many people can afford to do that? So that's called the affordability index. And more importantly, in there, right, one of the most important things that goes into the affordability index is mortgages, right? We know what happened. Fed raised the rates. Mortgages went up to 7%. Well, in October, this past month, 36% of Americans said they would rent if they were going to move. Well, yeah, and that's why we see the chart on the right-hand side. As of 10/31/2024, 36% of them are saying I rather rent because they cannot afford to buy even a starter home with a decent salary. If you're making 60, 80,000 in California, you cannot afford to buy a house. And the affordability index is directly related to high interest rates. And the Federal Reserve, in their good wisdom, they started cutting interest rates about a month ago, right? Since they cut the interest rates, what has happened? Mortgages are right back to 7% because the bond market is not buying what the Fed is selling, and they're increasing the rates. And the affordability index is going to get better for most average Americans one single way. Well, two ways. Their income either has to go up, right? 6, 8, 10% a year. And you will have a correction in the real estate market, and housing prices come down, as well as the mortgages go back down to 4 or 5%. That will put the affordability index into a little bit more manageable situation, and then people will start buying homes again as opposed to renting. And when you do rent, by the way, you have no control unless you're in some sort of rent control area. What is the landlord going to do? They're going to keep raising rates. Well, hopefully you're hoping now that with the rent that you're raising, number one, if you don't buy a house, you don't have a chance to grow equity in anything. You're just basically putting money on fire. In the old days, renting was not an option because for the rental price, your mortgage was equal to the rental price. Well, now it's double, triple. That's why people are going renting, because that's all they can afford. So it's a bad situation, especially for younger people who are starting life. And I hope it gets better. But yeah, people are renting today, not because they want to rent. That's because they're forced to rent, because affordability, housing affordability is absolutely in the tank, right? So next thing I'm going to talk to you guys about today is the what the Fed is doing, and what stagflation means. Okay, so stagflation is not something that we want. Okay, I have explained this on previous videos. What stagflation is a stagnant economy, unemployment going up, GDP contracting with high inflation. Well, we had high inflation for 3 years. Why? Because the government keeps printing money, right? We're up to $36 trillion in the national debt, and they keep printing and spending. When you do that, the definition of the inflation is too many dollars chasing too few goods. That's why all hard asset prices are at all-time high. Stocks, with the exception of today, gold, silver, Bitcoin. It's not because of anything else. Inflation, those are all inflation hedges. Okay, hard assets. And that includes real estate, obviously. Okay, so Fed decided for some reason to cut rates. Okay, well, it's not working.